Hello and welcome to something of an experiment here at Archaeosoup Towers. I'm joined today by Liv.
Hi.
Who's feeling a little bit unwell. And actually today is my birthday. Hooray! So rather than thank you, rather than doing mega hard work typing at the desk all afternoon, and also actually inspired by our recent conversation with Andrew Reinhard, the Archeo gamer, Liv and I thought that it might be an idea to go and explore an archaeological dig in Skyrim, the site of Saarthal, I do believe. So let's dive in, shall we, Liv?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so off we go. Now, I'm actually just outside the dig. There's a great big. Presumably, this has all been opened up by the archaeologists or the wizards, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So there's another platform all the way up there. But frankly, there's a dragon flying around, and I don't want to get his attention. The dragon's just over there. He sort of scares me. Oh. Yeah, you can hear him. But I'm just on this just on this platform here, and you can see where people sleep, apparently out in the snow. That's a very realistic archaeological thing, I think, being so uncomfortable in the field. And here are some of the things that actually they've gathered already, just for, I suppose, for analysis back at the sorry?
At the College of Magi, I would suggest.
Yeah,
yes.
the College of Magi, or I suppose at the site table, I guess. That's another way of putting it. But we've got urns, basically, which inside each, usually there's some coins. So I'm just looting the coins, as good archaeologists do.
Great keeping of the context there.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I've made a note of it, so that's what matters. Let's head on down to the dig anyway. So yes, they've opened up this great big pit here, and the reason why is because they wanted to get into this. This is the Saarthal excavation. Now, this in the conversation that me and Andrew had, Liv, it was clear that you can do this sort of archaeo gaming on a couple of different levels. You can be sort of role playing as an archaeologist, or you can be trying to sort of think about the place almost as a cultural construct, something which has been made by people but exists in a computer game. And I mean, how do you tend to approach when you're playing a site like this, or this Saarthal excavation? Incidentally, I should probably get out a torch. Hang on.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. But how do you tend to approach these sites?
I usually role play it because I'm a big role player. So it depends on the character. If I have a scholar type character, I usually go in like an archaeologist and try to not disturb the context as too much, which also means that I lose a lot of loot. And try to it's really a different archaeological experience when the dead you're excavating are trying to kill you. It doesn't happen that often in real life.
No, it doesn't happen that often. Although, I mean, I have heard horror stories where I think I have a friend who was once bitten by an animal's skull. I don't know if that counts, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, you're right, and I suppose actually in this particular site, I've actually already been through this earlier in the game and cleared it out, so there aren't any undead skeletons that we're going to come across. I suppose that's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But in this instance, I suppose what we've got here is this initial chamber where they've set up almost like, I suppose, wooden scaffolding and a spiral ramp system. And they've been gathering together broken pottery, bringing it to tables for analysis. It's actually a fairly, dare I say it, realistic attempt at an archaeological site set in a sort of a near Dark Ages world. I mean, if people were doing archaeology 1,000 years ago, this is probably what it would be like, I guess.
I mean, I think it's realistic. I mean, also you could argue that the actual archaeologists, not the Dragonborn, have been careful not to disturb the context since all the loot is there in the urns for us to grab.
This is true, actually. Yeah. So yeah, they've been good archaeologists. We're just the ones who are going through and stealing everything. Incidentally, this is a blocked-up passageway. Oh, and what did they do? They went through this side tunnel here. So again, it's really quite well designed. But I suppose, in that sense, what do you think is the value of this sort of exploration then for thinking like an archaeologist? Because so I was really trying to get Andrew the other day to sort of think about and to talk about the value of, oh, my torch went out, better get my torch again, there we go. The value of this in terms of approaching it as an archaeologist. I mean, what do you think that this is just, you know, potentially just playing but playing with a slight academics head on, or do you think actually there is more to this than that?
No, I think I mean, if we look at it from the game developers' point of view, they seem to have quite a good grasp of what an archaeological dig in this kind of environment would entail. Which shows that they either have someone familiar with archaeology on the team or have done some pretty good research. And it also, I mean, gaming and popular culture overall is a good gateway to explore the past and like how you can explore the past.
So you think in some ways, even if we can't, for example, get at the literal digital makeup of this space, like like the code or glitches and all that kind of thing, it's a useful way of, I suppose, starting to analyse the relationship between structures and all that kind of thing. Because actually, I have to say, for me, part of the value and the intrigue in going into a place like this Saarthal dig is the way that they have actually very carefully designed it to have layers. So you know, you've got the initial structure, then you've got the destruction of the structure, which is this rubble here, and then you've got the fact that these archaeologists or wizards have come in later on and put in all this wooden infrastructure to facilitate exploration. So
original.
Yeah.
I would assume the wood isn't original.
Oh, you think it was original?
No, I don't. Or I hope not. Otherwise, they have some magical, biodegrading wood.
That's true. But I mean, if, for example, here I think they put up a structure to hold up the bridge, maybe, you know.
Exactly.
And I think, yeah, in that sense, it's been very well thought out. I think that's one of the reasons why I take such pleasure in coming back to Saarthal every now and then. Is that element. And I suppose one thing though is that question of, for example, here you've got this really cool chair, this throne which is sort of broken down and on one side, and it's here opposite this corridor, which I've just sort of I'd come through around here. I suppose the question is, at what point, I mean, are we looking? Do you think we're just looking at cool art design, like they just go, oh, that'd be really cool there, or do you think that often they try and tell, or indeed that often there are in fact stories behind the placement of things in this game?
That's really hard to tell, I would say, especially with those kind of things, like those random chairs with Drogers in them. I mean, they could also be burial chairs, since it seems to be some kind of tomb. So they are placements for the dead to sit on. Yeah,
or potentially, I suppose you could have an element of where that maybe the recently deceased are put in the chair until they rot, and then you gather up their bones and put them in a pot or something.
We have both the chairs, and then we have actual alcoves where they lay the dead also in some of the tombs in the game. So there seems to be a kind of formalized way of handling the dead.
And actually, sorry, go on.
No, I was finished.
Well, actually, that's true. Actually, in so much as because I think a little bit later on in Saarthal, we'll come to those sort of more traditional catacomb type areas. But here, for example, this table with various things, ruined books and linen, surrounded by 4 sarcophagi. 2 sarcophaguses, feels very much like that sort of preparation type room. It's always the sort of thing. It's like a cross between the sort of thing that you see in ancient Egypt and something a bit more Northern European, I guess. Which again is fascinating. Speaking of which, look at this mummy. Yeah, a Draugr mummy. Let's see, what's he got? He got 13 gold. Should we take it?
Yeah. I mean, we're not archaeologists at the moment.
That's true. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. And also, we're poor archaeologists. We need all the money we can get.
Yeah.
Cough, 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 cough. Support us on Patreon. Cough, cough.
but we're not begging.
So, actually, here you go. Here's some of those alcoves that you were talking about. Let me just get a torch out. There you go. And it's, I mean, I suppose in popular culture, this stuff people might have seen similar in, say, The Last Crusade and in Venice when they're in the sewers. It's actually quite a common. It was just like a Roman tradition, became a Christian tradition, and I suppose, I mean, it's interesting actually how we have sort of slipped into analysing the space as archaeologists, but. And I suppose this is where this line fascinates me between, I suppose, a design space and being an archaeologist, exploring it, is that do you think the fact that actually what we are able to spot is a slight mishmash of different burial traditions, do you think that possibly invalidates what we're seeing here, because we can see that this is sort of in some ways derivative of other cultures, or do you think that actually this is a valid human created cultural expression, as it were?
Absolutely, I think it is. And I mean, we also have to remember that we're not actually looking at a rendition of the actual world. It is a fantasy world, so I would say it's fine to mix and match until you find something that you think is neat.
And
I mean, that urn I would say is very, very like urns you can find in Meso and South American cultures as well. So.
This is true. Well, and actually, in that sense, again, this is something which I did talk to Andrew about, and this is that question of whether or not people or cultures in real life, in the real world, whether they actually sword, yeah. Sorry, I completely negated the point I was about to make. Whether or not in the real world cultures actually do have that sense of this looks cool. Therefore, let's stop at this stage. This design element, this is cool. But I suppose actually that's cool is another word for pleasing. Could be another word for significant.
Impressive, and all of those kind of words.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're going to do a ritual structure this big, you want it to be impressive.
Yeah.
You're not doing it for modesty.
No. But I have to say, I love the idea of someone just going, we need to hire Eric, because Eric does cool tombs.
He knows how to impress.
Exactly. Oh, I can pick the lock on this treasure chest. Now people get to see whether or not I'm any good at picking. That said, though, I've got the I've got the special tool that helps me. So, 10 gold and 2 lockpicks, ironically, and I leveled up to 40. Yeah. Cool. That's one heck of a birthday present.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, it's so good being a geek.
Yeah, Argo running away from you.
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, there he is. Hello. I think as you say that in that sense, and maybe, and this is something which I try to sort of, I suppose, bring out in that interview, is that question, that element of maybe actually what we need to do is stop thinking about these spaces in precisely the same way as we think about archaeological sites, because of course, the elephant in the room is that these are design spaces, and that they're not from antiquity, and they have things like this button here, which is a booby trap.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly cool. And actually, that's a good point. I mean, maybe we might have to do a video about this at some point. But has there ever actually been an archaeological site with booby traps?
Not that I know of. I know of sites that have killed people, but that has been on accident.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, actually, that said, I think there was a site in, I forgot. Oh, it's a very, very famous necropolis type space in ancient Egypt, where there was powder that happened to be poisonous, but there was some question as to whether or not the powder was put down because it was poisonous.
We always have the problem of mold.
Yeah. Oh yeah, black mold. Yeah, that's a big problem. Yeah, definitely a biggie. Now here you go. There you go. Some more skeletons laid out in these spaces, in these little alcoves.
What I really like about the Elder Scroll universe also is that they have taken so much care in creating the lore about these ancient cultures.
Yeah.
So you could actually do like academic work on burial practices and who wakes up as dead and who does not.
This is true, actually. Yeah, and again, it's the thought that's gone into it, which is, oh, like I was looking at them. That's kind of creepy. Which is, it approaches a sort of a cultural, a magnum of work, which is on the level of a culture, as it were. I mean, some people. Oh, deactivate that. There you go. Some people, for example, talk about the output of, say, Tolkien as being the equivalent of a culture. And I suppose, and again, in that sense, maybe we need to stop worrying about whether or not, because this isn't an actual 1,000-year-old site, whether or not this is actually a valid thing. It exists, and it's something which can be explored, and therefore possibly is worth exploring. You know. Speaking of which, sorry, go on.
Talking about Tolkien, I mean, when you talk about Tolkien and you talk about culture, some would define culture as having their own language and what's the name? Organized religion and cultural practices, and all of that is present in Tolkien's world. So. Yeah,
no, that's true. Actually, that's a very good point. Incidentally, he was for Elvish. He was inspired by Welsh. I'm proud to say. He read a book on Welsh when he was at university and went, "What is this?" It's a beautiful language, and he went away and came up with Elvish. So, little.
Yeah, it's a mix between Welsh, Finnish, and a bunch of other languages.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. No! Oh. I set up.
That is the only thing that I would say is a bit like weird. That all the traps and all the doors and stuff like that is still functional.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, all the boot. I mean, actually, if we go back a little bit, the room back here, and I'm just going to jump down and obviously risk breaking my legs. This space through here, this lever, in the game, what you had to do is you had to move these pillars to make the space safe, because before you moved all these pillars into the right order by reading certain clues to make the space safe, when you push that lever, arrows would have come out of these holes and killed you. So, so as you say, yeah, the fact that these booby traps are still active and the mechanisms haven't decayed. Oh, elven battle axe. I don't need it. That is something which is a little bit unrealistic. Or things like, because what I just stepped on, the purple thing, it's kind of like a magical trap, isn't it? Like a runic trap on the floor. I'll try and jump over it and go. Ah!
Nope.
Didn't work. Of course, he's okay. Darn it.
Of course, you triggered it for him.
I should have sent him through, actually. Go over there. So again, we had to line up the pillar. So this one with the snake face to line up to match the snake behind it, in order to get through here safely. Flick the switch. and the door opens, and through we go.
And I mean, I'm guessing they're kept up to parts by magic of some sort, or they have very, very good metalworking in ancient Skyrim.
Of course they have good metalworking in ancient Skyrim. Also, but
the fact that you can find fresh food down there is kind of amazing.
yeah, well, yeah, you can find like apples in barrels, can't you, in tombs that are 1,000 years old.
So just 2,000 years old, they look at me. Nom, nom, nom.
Now, this is something where I always find it a little bit like when I'm reading, say, Conan the Barbarian. I find this sort of stuff a little bit distracting, where you have these slightly bizarre, fantastical helmets and this kind of thing. That said, though, if we just have a look at what my character's wearing, he's wearing
It
like
seems highly practical.
yeah, something that is a bit impractical, especially for archaeology. But again, you know, this is where we possibly have to put a slightly different head on when we're exploring these spaces.
Path works excavating a place like that.
Sorry, what was that? Sorry.
I would say that it is a good idea to have a hard hat excavating a place like that.
That's true, and I mean, who can deny that the hat I'm wearing is hard? I mean, that looks like quite a hard hat to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it might hurt people if they fell on me, but I'd be okay.
And that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what matters. Yeah. Get a torch out again. So again, another little blocked door. Harvest blister wart. Go on then. And again, I really like actually the amount of care and attention that they put into the flora and the books and just everything in this particular world. Again, just to make it that bit more immersive and authentic. So this is the heart of Saarthal, where earlier in the game you come across this giant floating spherical thing over here, and why is that guy glowing down there? Let's have a look. Hang on. Down the ramp. Why is he glowing? Search Ulrich Goldrusen. Let's have a look. Ancient Nord war axe. Nah, I don't need it. But again, actually, if you came across a glowing corpse on an archaeological dig, that would be you might want to investigate that.
Great, but I mean, you would get tenure in a second.
Now, this actually, going back to analysing the space as an archaeologist might. Oh, cool! A troll skull on a little pedestal. What do you make of this? Where you've got an embalming table, presumably, because you've got all these embalming tools, and there's a drauga in the process of being wrapped up in linen. And then you've got this chair next to it. What do you make of that sort of setup?
Due to the placement of the draugar, I would say that you are embalming it on this side of the table because it's not in the middle arm, is it?
No, that's true. It is closer to this side of the table. Yes.
So the reach would be better on this side. So possibly that you're working on this side and someone, maybe a priest, is sitting in that chair doing something.
Okay, so sort of overseeing your work then.
Yeah, or maybe it's a place for something else. If we have a death worshipping cult, there could be a dead over priest or something like that in that chair too.
Okay.
Connecting back to the thing we said before about putting the dead in chairs.
So potentially, actually, you could even have the dead in the chair, and either they dry up or rot or whatever, and then they're treated on this table. It's interesting.
Or you put them in the chair when the embalming is done, if they're not going in one of the sarcophagus.
Speaking of which, this guy's getting even more scary now. It's like he can't quite decide what type of dead he is. Anyway, there's the place where the glowing sphere was. Was it the Sphere of Magnus or something, I think, in the game?
Yeah.
which is to do with the story linked with the Mage College. And let's go through. I think we might actually be at the end of this particular tomb, I think.
I think we are.
Through we go. Oh, here is a dragon wall with some writing on that you have to learn a word from. There it is. Again, that's part of the game storyline. Let's not spoil anything, I suppose. And of course, the
game is just like what, 4 or 5 years old.
Well, you never know. Someone might never have actually got around to playing it. You know, they might go, well, let's watch the Archaeosoup playthrough. I'm sure they'll. Okay, never mind. Thanks, Liv. But no, okay. It's an integral part of the game that you go around learning script from these walls here and there. Nice big treasure chest at the end of the dungeon, I suppose, as it were. And we go out into the Saarthal excavation, and I think we might be near the end of it. But I have to say that the first time I played this a few years ago now, I think I was very impressed, as you say, with the design, with the sense of the layers that they put into it. And actually, yes, here we are. I think we're back in the first room again, actually. So if we go down onto the platform.
That's also really, really neat with these structures. They always have like a shortcut out, but it's all barred, so you can't take the shortcut in. Which one could argue would make sure that people go the ritualistic, correct way through the compound if they need to get to the inner chamber.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, in so much as that there is a right way through, and I certainly can't reach the wrong way through, as it were. And actually, that door over there would be locked from the other side as well. So even if you could jump over there, you couldn't go through there. So you would have to go, presumably back in the day, all the way through as we have just done, which again, in its own way, tells you something about the space, both as a designed level, I guess, but also actually as a in the game world as a ritualistic space. You are funneled through the space in a very particular way, and out we go back to Skyrim. Now, actually, I think what we might do is just go and check out the other archaeological platform just outside. I think, just because I'm a curious sort of fellow. But I don't know. Would you recommend that more archaeologists start playing computer games and thinking about the spaces that they're in this sort of way?
Well, yeah, if they enjoy them. I mean, there's no point in playing a game you don't enjoy.
No.
But I think many archaeologists would find enjoyment in them.
No. Archaeologists who are geeks and who love computer games. I don't know any.
No. I'm so happy to have found you. I was so lonely.
Indeed, we were so alone. No. I think you're right. I think it would be a mistake to prescribe games. Here's a barrel with 3 carrots in it, fresh food, as you say. It would be wrong to prescribe which games people should play, but certainly I think it's a useful exercise, if nothing else, to just think about these sorts of issues as you go through these sites. Incidentally, this is presumably what first brought the archaeologists to this site, this sort of pedestal here, because if all of this has been opened up by excavation, this must have been. Actually, what's on top of here? Let's have a look. Let's run up the hill. That's my running noise.
Archaeological response. What is this? I wonder what's on top of it.
Exactly.
Let's go and check.
Oh no, there's nothing on top, just ice. Okay, fair enough.
But that in itself is worth noting.
This is true. Because from up there, for example, you wouldn't be able to see this at all. So presumably it's intended to be viewed from over there somewhere.
Yeah.
And now we're back to phenomenology, folks. Hooray! Anyway, I'm going to go down here because, again, I don't want to get the dragon's attention because I don't feel like fighting a nasty-ass elder dragon. But nonetheless, I think this has been well, it's been a pleasure for me. I always love exploring Saarthal, but also hopefully this has been somewhat interesting for you guys at home. I suppose putting some of what we've talked about with Andrew, the Archeo gamer, I suppose into practice, but also both Liv and I would love to do more of this in other games. For example, Liv, you'd like to, is it Witcher 3 you'd like to have a look at?
Yes, The Witcher 3 would be a great game for this kind of video. Also, the Dragon Age series has some great archaeological moments in them. I mean, they're basically based around all the cultures influencing the present one, religion.
And actually, to be honest, even, dare I say it, my first experience playing, for example, the original Call of Duty game was fascinating for me, because actually running through bombed out Berlin was very interesting, and again from a design perspective, but also actually at the time, back in 2001 maybe, just about ending my high school days, it gave me actually a sense. It was a sense of this stuff really having happened. So perhaps there's even room for that kind of thing. Although I'm not sure I'd want to go around just shooting Nazis. It'd have to be a bit more to it than that.
It's good enough a purpose.
Exactly. Will you stop shooting me? I'm trying to conduct a survey with my sniper rifle.
I mean, it's a bit Indiana Jones, Lara Croft-ish, but hey.
Yeah, it could be. Anyway, guys, hopefully, as I say, this has been interesting, and if you'd like to see more, if you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and I suppose we'll do our best to expand on this particular idea in the future. As ever, until next time, do take care. So it's bye-bye from me, and...
Bye-bye from me.
Bye-bye.